What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you as well. I hope you're all nice and rested and restored from our gaming marathon that we had a couple weeks ago.
Not even a little.
Not even a little? You're still tired?
Worn out.
Oh.
It was too much gaming for too long.
It was.
Dare I say it?
It was fun, though.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So for anyone who doesn't know, we're going to give a quick recap. Actually, you know what? We'll circle back around to this. But in case you did not know this, your first time listening, Team Chat Podcast is a video game show where we talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. New episodes come out each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, and you can listen to those across podcast services around the World Wide Web, as well as watch each and every episode on YouTube and Twitch. If you're a fan of the show and you want to be more involved, you can do that as well by finding us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as joining our Discord channel. The links for all those things are in the description below. And then finally, each and every episode of this podcast is brought to you by the support of our listeners. So if you are really loving what we're creating for you each and every week, head over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where it's for as little as $1 a month. You can support the show, and in return, we will give you a cool perk like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release, as well as access to our private patron-only channel on our Discord server, The Rogues Gallery. So getting back around to it, though. So what we were talking about in our gaming marathon was, for those who might not have seen, we partook in Extra Life 2018 this last year. So it was, by the time this episode comes out, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, it was November 3rd. Basically, is the day that it was. A 24-hour gaming marathon where all the money that we raised was able to go to Children's Miracle Network Hospital, specifically Dell Children's here in Austin. But it was for our first time doing it, it was a resounding success, I would say.
It was certainly more than what we expected.
Definitely. We placed the goal of $1,000, being like, you know what, we don't know what to expect. I was honestly thinking we were going to hit somewhere in the 3 to 4, maybe
I
hit
really
it to
kind
5.
of thought that too. I was like, man, if we get to 5, we'll be like making it.
I know.
And then we like exceeded our total goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God.
And the end raise, we raised $1,085, I think. So,
and 20 cents.
Yes.
Don't forget that precious 20 cents.
And I got to say, credit where credit's due. That was not all raised by us. We also had some of our friends of the show, Chess Hall, he and his wife, they streamed for a couple hours playing a video game. And then we also had our good friend and listener and patron to the show, Fuchsia. She also streamed for a couple hours, and she raised a little over 400, I believe, of that on her own.
Dough.
So she did an incredible job with it as well. And then our good friend Kirok Craft from Bottle Rocket Gaming, he streamed a couple hours as well, and he was actually on streaming when we hit our $1,000.
Oh, was he really?
So that was pretty awesome.
I was at home napping.
I know you took advantage of that 2 hours.
I sure did, and then I was like, "Well, damn it, I missed it."
We got the notification. I'm actually meaning to make a clip, and if I haven't got this out already, but I want to make like a short little video of like all of the fun moments from our Extra Life stream. So like I want to pull that. I want to pull some stuff from Fuchsia and from Chess, and then a couple of the moments from our gaming, like when you got your first kills in Fortnite and all that other stuff. So I want to make a little video, but
my first and only kill.
You did good though. I was very surprised. I was very proud of how well you were doing in there. But yeah. So thank you to everyone who did donate. Thank you to Kirok, Chess, and Fuchsia for donating your time to help us on the stream as well. It was really fun, and I'm super excited and looking forward to next year. But also, because we hit all our goals, that means we also have a few more of the rewards for hitting certain donations that we have to keep up with. So while we were doing our live episode last week, one of them that we came up with, because we were surpassing the goals we had set, was at $650 we would have to buy. Both of us would have to buy and play and then review Stardew Valley. So we're in the process of that one.
We're giving it the appropriate amount of time it needs. We understand it's a very absorbing game.
It is
so
indeed.
We're both going to pump some time in Stardew. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, we should be able to have a review episode out for that.
There it is. Because that's one, I mean, it just goes on and on the more you play it too. So it doesn't have necessarily the definitive answer. So just whenever we feel like we've had exactly. So whenever we feel like we've had enough time in it, then we'll come back with a review episode.
Be enough time.
I know they didn't tell us.
We do have to each get a selection
of
of our waifus and hazubandos, though.
Yes, we do. Yes. We do have to do that as well. $900. We decided Mogan was going to have to finish Persona 5 by Christmas. So on top of Stardew Valley, she has to do that.
I know that yours is worse, but like I kind of
mine's pretty good.
I look at mine and I'm like, man,
because you got to do Stardew Valley and this.
Finish it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to finish Persona 5. I promise. I'm going to set it to easy difficulty and I'm going to blaze through it.
Do it.
Oh my God, it's going to be rough. I'm going to really struggle bust through it.
And then the last $1,000, once the $1,000 goal, once we hit that, which we did hit, is I have to get the Team Chat logo tattooed on my body.
You
so
sure
I'm still
are.
figuring out placement. I'm gonna have the appointment scheduled soon and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm figuring I'm just gonna get the nice little TCP and the banner and the bangers font that we use and all that.
Is that what it's called?
It is actually called bangers.
Wow, I feel ashamed now.
I mean, it's like I took it I honestly don't know why it's called that. Because it's a comic booky-esque font is kind of why I picked it. But I don't know why it's called bangers. But anyway, so just getting the nice TCP. I don't know where yet. That's the only thing I'm trying to figure it out.
You should get one of those cool ring tattoos, but maybe on your pinky finger.
Sam thought I should, because I have a tattoo of Fender on my ankle. And she thought I should make it look like it's his collar. But then at the same time, that's too little. That doesn't feel like... I was thinking more like something like...
Really? You were thinking that big?
But just it's going to be just the letters though. TCP.
This much of one section of your finger.
Nah, that seems a little too small for dedicating it for being the $1,000 goal.
Ooh, you could get really, really tiny TCPs in Continuum for permanent makeup.
Oh no.
Yeah, get some tattoos on for some nice eyeliner. Nah. But within the eyeliner is TCP.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Maybe across the knuckles. No,
if you were missing a pinky though, and you only had 3 fingers,
that would be great.
That'd be pretty great.
But then it's that's awkwardly placed in the middle. Maybe I can just make it where it covers it's in the gaps. That would look terrible. But I don't know. I'm still figuring all that out. But that is and we'll keep updated with those goals as we complete them. And obviously when I get the tattoo, I'll take a picture of it in progress. Maybe we do a quick little video on the Instagram live so it's actually happening. But it's happening. I just got to figure out the placement.
New Patreon reward tier. Pay $1,000 per month and you get to decide where Jerrett's tattoo goes.
No, I'm not leaving that up to other people. A buddy of mine already was like, you should just get it on your neck. And I said, no.
Oh, God.
Then I jokingly responded back nah, I'll just get it above one of my eyebrows.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And that's the second eyebrow.
Not doing that one either. But anyway, so like I said, we'll keep you updated. And again, thank you so much to everybody who donated and made it a memorable first Extra Life for Team Chat podcast. And we'll see you again next year for it because I, for one, am doing it again.
So memorable, we'll probably do it again.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's move on and get back into the normal routine of the show with our Moment with Mogan.
Okay, so we actually missed a lot last week while we were doing the live episode because we didn't get to do a typical Moment with Mogan.
Right.
So some of this is going to be things that recently came out.
So a little retroactive.
So a little retroactive. So on November 6th, Deracine for PSVR came out. So did World of Final Fantasy Maxima for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Also on November 6th was Overkill's The Walking Dead. Oh boy, you might say, never mind. PS4,
Yeah,
I was going to make a pun about it, but never mind.
It's overkill? Yeah, it absolutely is. Why do we need another Walking Dead game?
Anyways, so that's for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. We also have The Forest for PS4, November 6th as well.
Yeah, that one looked kind of scary, I believe. Is
it
kind
might
of a
be
spooky, scary game?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Also on November 6th, we had Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. On November 8th, we had Ride 3 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. We also had Valiant Hearts for Switch. There was also Hitman 2.
Oh, wait, Valiant Hearts, The Great War for Switch?
Well, it just says Valiant Hearts.
Oh my God. Is that the one that... If that's what I think it is... Everyone needs to go play that game immediately on Switch.
Well, you look it up.
I am.
Hitman 2 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC comes out today as of this episode's launch, as of this episode's air date, November 13th. We also have SNK 40th Anniversary Collection for Switch, November 13th as well. Spyro Reignited Trilogy for PS4 and Xbox One comes out today, November 13th. I am very excited about that one.
Very nice.
It looks like they're doing a good job with it. I'm probably will be getting it. Fallout 76 for PS4, Xbox One, and PC November 4th.
Oh, forget that's already so close.
Right. November 14th, and coming soon we have...
Wait, that's on a Wednesday? What?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe my list is out of date. Who knows?
No, you're right. November 8th, Valiant Hearts. Oh my God. It is the Valiant Hearts, The Great War. That is a outstanding game.
Oh, that I remember you talking about
long
that.
time ago.
So it's just making its port to
It's
Switch.
making its port to Switch.
Very nice.
It's a fantastic game and everyone should play it.
Yeah. Okay, so circling back real quick, Underworld Ascendant for PC, November 15th, and then coming very soon, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee for Switch, November 16th. Woohoo!
Nice. Oh man, so you got some purchases coming up this month.
I do apparently, but I can't purchase any of them because I have to get their Persona 5.
And Stardew Valley.
That'll have to be my reward to myself is when I finish Persona 5, I can then start buying other games again.
There you go. See, you'll save up. It's a good plan.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, I think it'll work out well. Okay, well then, since that concludes our moment with Mogan, before we jump into our main topics, and we might change up the formatting of where this lays in the show for future episodes, but for now, we're going to do it right here, following the moment with Mogan. And that is, it's time for the Red Dead Roundup, y'all.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right.
You have to make pew, pew noises.
With these
yeah, that's
stupid
okay.
strings. Those look dumb. All right, y'all. Saddle up.
Amazing.
It's time to do some Red Dead Roundup.
Pew, pew.
Pew,
You have to make, yeah, pew, pew.
Pew,
Come
pew,
on.
pew,
there
pew.
we go.
So I didn't quite have enough time to spend in this game this whole time. Now, I don't know
You
if I'm
say
going to
that
keep this
every
up.
time.
Well, because I've had a busy couple weeks.
You say that every time.
I'm a busy man. Got a lot of cattle that needs rustling, a lot of prairie dogs that need corralling.
I only rustle sheep.
There you go.
They're much
a
more
peaceful
easy.
critter.
They're a peaceful critter.
They're a peaceful critter. That's right. All right, I'm not keeping that up the whole time.
But keep the hat on.
I'll keep the hat's staying. I bought this specifically for Red Dead Roundup.
Excellent. I wondered what was in the box.
Why I had to have this box closed?
What is happening?
No, this is like some cheap ass $20 shit from Amazon. It's fine. It's
You
like
paid $20 for that.
Yeah, it was less than that. It might have even been like 15. But anyway, so Red Dead Roundup. I have made a bit more progress into the story. Again, I'm not going to really go into spoilers and stuff. This is just more of a time for thoughts and opinions. And I honestly don't want to stay that long on it this week either because I'm really excited about our topic. I want to get into that too and make sure we have plenty of time for that. But basically, I'm still just piddling around and I still feel like getting the mechanics under my belt. Like I've said before when I talked about it in the first impressions, there are so many things, so many mechanics that have to take place in this game because there's so many different things that they introduce. And I feel like I'm still getting used to those. Combat still feels honestly kind of wonky to me. I started adjusting with the settings to maybe to close in a little bit and tighten up the aim assist and everything. So because it felt way too stilted.
You use aim assist.
Honestly,
What
with
a
this, I'm pretty sure you
plebe.
have to because they give you this tiny little white dot, and the guy's gonna be really far away.
Is
anyway,
there not any settings where you can change the reticle?
No, not the reticle. I
Really?
don't think. No, the reticle. They keep the white dot. That's the same in like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh,
Like, That's
gotcha.
just kind of their status quo
Okay.
on that. But so I've been trying to mess with that. But then I realized I might have messed with the settings too much, so I reset them to try to learn it again, and then I'll make improvements from there. But really, the big thing about it is I'm still just overall impressed with how many, and what I find myself, my big takeaway for this week, I guess, is that I find myself getting lost in the minute details, which normally in other games I feel like would be a bad thing. Not so much in this game. I was doing it literally a cutscene where I was talking to somebody and it showed my face, and I was like, I'm dirty. I need to go take a bath. Because that's a thing you can do. Because being clean means you'll be healthier and all that. So I was like, man.
I thought it just meant that the ladies would like you a little bit more.
They probably do.
Or maybe the gentlemen too.
Or maybe the horses.
I won't judge.
Or the sheep.
Or the sheep.
It's whatever. But anyway, so I found myself being like, oh, crap, I got to go into town and bathe up and, take a little bath so that way I can not be a little bit more healthy of a cowboy as I'm out rustling the cattle. But
do you actually own cattle?
not yet.
Oh, okay.
Maybe someday. I can only
Maybe
dream.
someday.
The world is literally my oyster at this point. I'm still uncovering all of the various assets and areas and stuff that I can go to and have under my control and call my own. But as it's still just all my thoughts from the first impressions of just loving the small interactions with characters is still really the great selling point. I'm trying not to dive too much into the story, but as I do more story missions, I'm realizing those are still more of like the tutorial is still going on in a way, even though I'm several hours in at this point. And that's cool. I'm wanting the story to pick up a little bit more. Just still feels a little slow on the story front, but that's also because you dictate how much time you spend in the story. So, you know.
Yeah. So you haven't gotten to the story because you've chosen not to.
I've chosen
Okay,
not to. I've
gotcha.
chosen to explore and to figure out more things. But I still feel a little aimless in that. I'm still trying to find my general purpose in my exploring.
Well, so that sounds like hashtag a you problem.
It is indeed. But that's just what I'm trying to figure out and to understand as I get more into this. So that's really my bigger thoughts there. I haven't had anything huge or monumental happen to me yet. I've been killed a lot of times in some what I declare bullshit ways. But it's still like I barely tapped a guy. I was just in a lumber game. I barely tapped a guy as I was riding by on my horse, and they all got up in arms and started shooting at me. Then one of the camp dogs mauled me to death.
Oh, that's
I barely tapped him.
That's really
barely tapped
funny.
him.
You
It
got
wasn't even
mauled to death by a camp dog.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't want to shoot the puppy. But then, and I was just like, I just barely touched him.
So when you die in the game, how far back does it place you? Like, what happens?
It just like goes through a brief loading screen showing the sky, and then it just like opens you up at a safe area, not too far from where you died.
You don't like get reset to before you died. Then you just spawn in a new area.
You lose some money and you spawn in this new area.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
yeah. So that's pretty much it.
There's a really old, like arcade style Wild West shooting game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but I do remember that every time you die in the game, it flashes to this like human, like it's an actual recording of like a human guy, the Undertaker, standing over you, and he's like, "Well, you barely made it through that one." Like the implication being that he's continuously trying to bring you back to life every time you die. It was really funny.
That's awesome. But the only last little bit I want to leave everyone with, or the Red Dead Roundup for this week, is that news recently came out. This is from a Forbes article by Paul Tassi, that Red Dead, and this is as of today or yesterday. So no, yesterday is when this came out. So November 7th, that Red Dead 2 has already shipped 17 million units, which means it has passed the lifetime sales of Red Dead Redemption 1.
Wow, that's impressive.
So some
Good
big stuff
job.
coming out of Rockstar. Congrats to you on that is ridiculous amount of sales.
That's crazy.
All right, hats off.
Hats off to Red Dead, you could say.
Hats off to Red Dead. I could say that indeed.
Does the hat fit over the headphones?
I haven't tried.
You should cut little like holes into it so that you can do both.
No,
damn it. Okay, we'll have to get a bigger hat.
Yep.
Next time, everybody. Hey, if you subscribe at the $1,
those dollars can go to buying us some hats.
Those dollars can go
because that's what's important.
Milord Jerrett's hat collection.
Oh man! All right, well. We spent enough time on all this pre-topic
have.
jibber-jabber that we've had going on. It's time to jump into this one because this is one that you actually came up with. So why don't you introduce the topic?
I think it came up when we were actually doing the Extra Life Live episode because you mentioned, I asked you about how your year in gaming had been, and you briefly talked about Far Cry 5, and you mentioned that you haven't finished it. And
No, it's done.
Oh, no, wait.
Which game was it that I was talking about then? Because Far Cry 5 is done.
Oh.
God of War. I finished the main... No, because I finished the main story. I just haven't gone back to platinum that one. What game were we talking about?
I don't know. I thought it was Far Cry 5.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Oh, maybe you just weren't that impressed with it.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with it at all.
Well, anyways, the point is, something Jerrett said made me think, oh yeah, there's a bunch of games that I've played in my life that I've never finished, sometimes for good reason, sometimes for not good reason, like Persona 5. I just got stuck and I never went back.
Maybe that's what it was we were talking about. Maybe that's what spurred it.
Maybe so. But anyway, so the topic of today is essentially ghosts of games past, which is to say games that we played, never finished, and honestly probably have no plans to finish.
Yeah.
Like you might, if you've got
Of this
the
list,
flu,
there's only one that I was like, I might go back to this.
Yeah. And even then, it's a might. It's not like you have a driving rage to go back and finish that game. So these are games that we might never touch again, conceivably, in our lives.
So, since it's
Indeed.
your idea for a topic, why don't you kick us off?
So actually, Bro Mogan reminded me of this one by accident. He sent me a snap the other day. I don't really know why he's playing it, but he sent me a snap that he was playing Yoshi's Woolly World.
Okay.
So I do remember Yoshi's Woolly World.
I do, but never played it.
Okay, so it's actually fairly new. It came out just in 2017. Oh no, that was the port. Excuse me, it came out in 2015 for the Wii U. So my reasons for not having finished Yoshi's Woolly World are a number of They're manifold, we should say. So for starters, Yoshi's Woolly World is, of course, by Nintendo's measure, AAA game. You know, any big Nintendo game that is published by Nintendo, developed in-house by Nintendo. I think this one was from Goodfeel.
Okay.
One of the studios that Nintendo partners with. But the premise of Yoshi's Woolly World is... You are Yoshi, of course. You are made out of yarn.
Cute.
You are Yarny Yoshi. Adorable.
Sounds
it's
like it. Totes adorbs.
Stupidly cute. I totally have the yarn Yoshi amiibo, and it's so cute I'll never get rid of it. I don't care if it's usable or not. It's just adorable. And it's basically in the exact style of the majority of 2D side-scrolling Mario games that people know and love. So the closest equivalent in modern times would, of course, be New Super Mario Brothers, which was also for the Wii U. And I think maybe there may have been... No, it was New Super Mario Brothers Wii, and then they also did New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and I think New Super Luigi Wii U, or something to that extent. At some point, Luigi got his own like little weird game, and it was good? Question mark. I don't know. I didn't play it. So the entire premise is that, of course, this is a classic Mario-style platformer. The difference is that as Yoshi, you, of course, have your flutter jump, which is one of the key mechanics of being the Yoshi. You, of course, get to jump, and then you go, hang, and then you get to get a little...
like, strain? Yeah, where he, like, throws
you strain, he thrashes his feet around and, like, gains a little bump in the air before eventually falling down. But as he is made of yarn... He has a few different new powers. So for starters, the world is also made of yarn. Like the world around him is made of like crafting materials. And so let's say, for example, that I run into a space of the map and part of it looks a little bit weird. And I'm like, I see a loose thread up there. I wonder if I use my Yoshi tongue to blam to make
do what now?
To blam
there you go.
to make the Yoshi noise and basically grab the string with his tongue. It might unravel an entire new section of the level.
Look
and
at
it's
that.
actually really clever mechanics. A lot of the game was really very good. There's actually not really anything particularly bad that I can say about Yoshi's Woolly World. The mechanics were very nice. They were tight. It didn't really require the Wii U gamepad. You know, the Wii U had that massive gamepad that fit in your hands. I always liked it. A lot of people did not.
Right.
I particularly liked it for Splatoon because I feel like I was really jacked.
Just getting more workouts than just holding this massive game console.
That's how it felt. So anyways, the controls were really tight, really creative. The level design was really fun and childlike and at times very interesting. There were a lot of chain chomps everywhere, which I also enjoyed. I love the chain chomp. He is one of my favorite creatures. And having a chain chomp made out of yarn, even better.
So everything's made out of yarn in this world.
So everything's made out of yarn. And in addition to having a world made of yarn, one of Yoshi's new mechanics is that he can blam up yarn balls. So basically like just balls of yarn. And instead of having eggs behind him, they're yarn balls. And you can basically throw them at different things on the screen. And by throwing them, you might, of course, be able to get rid of enemies. You could kill them. Or if you throw yarn at a place where you see a blank outline and it connects, it'll stitch something into existence, which I thought was really cute, really cool. So, for example, if I've just barely managed to do the highest peak of my jump and I just saw at the top of the screen the edge of a dotted outline of platform, I might go, oh, crap. I got to come back with some yarn so that I can throw it up there and actually make the rest of the platforms come into play.
Nice.
So in terms of the game overall, I would say it's very good. There's really, it's a Nintendo game. It's a Yoshi game.
Right.
What bad thing can you say about it? Except for maybe that it honestly wasn't that riveting. It certainly was engaging to play, and I did enjoy it while I played it. I especially enjoyed playing it with Bro Mogan. I think I got it for Christmas, and we were playing it on the couch. You can, of course, play 2-player co-op.
Yeah.
I think you can play with up to 4 people at a time, which very fun. But, if you're playing it alone...
Just kind of meh.
Yeah, just take it or leave it. I mean, it just wasn't engaging enough to keep my attention, especially compared to the unfortunate timing that happened kind of right after the holidays of that year, which, because I had gotten Yoshi's Woolly World so late in the life cycle, I didn't get it when it came out. I got it way at the end, right before the Switch came
Oh,
out.
so you got the new shiny thing.
Yeah,
and
so I got it in December, of course, for
Woolly
Christmas.
Yoshi got left
and
behind.
then the next, in 3 months, in March, the Switch came out.
Mm-hmm.
And my world became Breath of the Wild. And I was like, farewell, Wii U. I have moved on to greener pastures.
I've set you in this Viking
Specifically the
fire
pastures
pyre.
of Breath of the World. Fare thee well, friend. And really, that's the primary reason I never took it back up again.
Mm-hmm.
And I really have no motivation to take it back up. I don't want to have to set my Wii U back up again.
Yeah.
It's a pain to have to get it back out of the fancy collector's box, of course.
Right.
Dust it back off, get it all back set up.
Of course.
And it's just not worth the effort when there are so many other games that I also haven't finished
This
that
is
I
true.
have easier access to. So, Yoshi's Woolly World, a great game, and if you have a Wii U that you still use, you should buy it. But if you don't, you're not missing much.
There we go. There we have it.
That's the first installment. What
Ghosts
about you?
Of Games Past.
Ghosts of Games Past.
So mine really is a Ghost of Games Past in that it's kind of an older one. It is Day of the Tentacle from 1993.
Oh my!
I did not play it in
That's quite
1993.
an old game.
So it's actually a LucasArts game, one of their few that, like the Curse of Monkey Island and the Indiana Jones series, that wasn't Star Wars themed, but they make sense because it's LucasArts, Lucasfilm property, so that's why they had like the
Is that when
Indiana
they had their
Jones
really
and all that
janky
stuff.
old public library logo?
That's like the person, like
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what it was.
That's one of my favorite logos of all time.
So it actually, though, the game was developed by Tim Schafer, who made other big hits such as like Psychonauts, Grim Fandango,
Ooh,
Brutal
yeah.
Legend, different stuff like that.
Psychonauts.
And
very
so,
cool.
and then it was also designed by Gabe Grossman. And so, but the thing about it is that it's an adventure game, one of their old like point and click adventures games. And it's actually very critically acclaimed as a
I've
game.
heard of Day of the Tentacle many, many times, and
Yeah.
I honestly don't know much about it other than the name and that people love it. So tell
it's
me about it.
So it's a sequel to, or a Fallout game to Maniac Mansion, which was an older LucasArts game.
I was going to say Morning of the Tentacle instead of perhaps Day.
Day of the Tentacle, and then there's Dawn of the Tentacle, Night of the Tentacle.
Twilight
just
of the
kidding.
Tentacle.
There's actually weren't that many sequels, so this might have been
How
the only
fun
one.
of a game does Tentacle Twilight sound like, though? That sounds like a great game.
does
Oh,
it?
come on. The right kind of game, if you know what I mean.
I think I do.
Those games make a lot of money, people.
They do indeed.
Nobody
But
take that. I'm trademarking it.
Team Chat Podcast first video game, Tentacle Twilight, and it's exactly what it sounds
Definitely not what it sounds like.
like. But anyway, so the basic premise of this is that a purple tentacle, the villain, Purple Tentacle, is mutated through some scientific experiment gone wrong. And the three main characters of this are Bernard, Hoagie, and Laverne. And basically, you're sent back in time by the doctor whose laboratory was I think Dr. Fred is his name. Dr. Fred, you're sent back in time the hope is that you'll be sent back in time to be able to go back like just a day to turn off his slime machine, which is what created the radiated slime that mutated Dr. Purple Tentacle. And so, but of course, he sends you back in time in the trusty old Chronogon, which is exactly what it sounds like, a time machine made out of a porta potty.
That actually is what I had guessed in my head. I was like, is it going to be that?
And so you might also then think, okay, so this is a crazy doctor who's already mutated a tentacle who's now wreaking havoc and trying to take over the world. How much stock do we want to put in his porta-johns or chronojohns working? Well, spoiler alert, they don't work very well. Bernard stays in the present time. Hoagie is sent back 200 years in the past, and Laverne is sent 200 years in the future.
Oh,
and so then the
no.
basic goal of the game at that point is to find a way to power up in each of the respective timelines to power up the chronojohns so that everybody can come back and then be able to obviously then unlock the mystery to being able to defeat Purple Tentacle.
So Purple Tentacle is a villain.
Yeah, he's a villain.
Oh, okay. I thought you were Purple Tentacle.
No. You're
Okay.
Bernard, Hoagie, and Laverne. Sorry,
Very
that
much
wasn't clear.
misunderstood the premise of the game.
And so basically then, due to the way of how point-and-click adventure games are, is basically...
Do you point?
You
And then
you
do you click?
and you pick up items from your inventory, talk to other characters, and then find things to gain in your inventory that will help you solve puzzles later on down the road. So the big thing about it, on paper, when I played this game, I would have been, I think, about 8, 9, 10, not very old, like maybe 10 years old, I
A
think.
wee lad.
A
if
wee
you will.
lad, a definite wee lad.
Prince Jarrett, before he was Milord Jarrett.
Exactly.
Young Sir
Before
Jarrett.
maladies had stricken my cows. But I honestly think that is the reason why I gave it up. Is I think I was too. I think for basically kind of like my only note on this is like I think I was too young when I first played to understand the mechanics and all the puzzles, and not to mention the humor, which would have kept it more engaging. I'm sure went over my head.
I was about to say the premise is quite funny. It sounds like that maybe humorous writing was a key component.
Well, and
of
it's
the
Tim
gaming.
Schafer. That's kind of like how his games are anyway. And so so that's what I kind of feel like. As I feel like I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't the typical game I was playing at the time, which would have been like Dark Forces or maybe no, not Civilization yet. I don't think, but it just wasn't in my norm, and I think it was just outside of it enough, and the things about it that were supposed to click in my head weren't clicking in my head, and I think that's why I stopped playing it. Now, this is the game, though, that I feel like I want to give another shot to. Because I feel like now I am of the appropriate age where the humor and the mechanics I would obviously get.
An adult can finally understand the humor of porta potties.
No, just now, when writing this down, I was like, oh, that's funny. Chuckles. But so honestly, though, that's really the only reason why I dropped this game, I think, is just because I was too young when it started. I still remember parts of it. Actually, my buddy Michael, he gifted me the game on Steam because it's out now, because they have Day of the Tentacle remastered, I think, on Steam. And so I have it. It's just sitting there ready for the right opportunity to play it. But I think this is one that I honestly will because of the critical acclaim that the game received. And two, I just want to give it another shot since I feel like I was too young when I took it on the first time.
I bet it's actually probably a very short game.
Oh, yeah. It can't be that long.
Games in the 90s weren't that long.
Yeah.
Have you heard that song Running in the 90s?
No.
The one that a bunch of memes are based off of?
No.
Okay.
I'm normally on top of meme culture.
Wow, okay. I'll have to show it to you later. That just reminded me of it, and I was like, you're running in the 90s.
Very much so what I'd be doing, yeah.
You should all look it up. If you want to feel like you're on acid and exercising, just listen to
That
Running
sounds
in
like
the...
a great feeling.
Yeah, you should add it to your running playlist.
I will indeed.
Running in... Never mind.
I'm very curious now, so yeah, I'll have to listen to this. All right, so what would be your second Ghost of Games Past?
So, my second one is very ghostly indeed, because it's actually a game that I love.
Oh.
And that I might... So this is the one that I might someday go back and finish it.
Okay.
Because I even own the sequel, and I'm playing the sequel. I just didn't finish the first one.
Oh, can I
you guess?
Dishonored.
It's Dishonored.
Oh,
Nice.
That's actually was on a possibility on my list.
Yeah. So you have also played Dishonored 1, correct?
Like maybe halfway through.
Okay, so we are talking about the first Dishonored
Yes.
game. So this is the one that came out in 2012. It's by Arcane Studios.
Here in Austin.
They're in local Austin studio, but of course it was published by Bethesda. So this is actually, I think, the first Bethesda game that I played that I knew it was Bethesda.
Really?
And when I actually saw the graphics in action in the game, I was like, oh, this is what people
Bethesda.
are talking about. It finally made sense. I was like, this is the Bethesda look. Okay, I kind of get it now. So, of course, the 2012 game did spawn a couple of different DLC and even I guess you would call it, sequel micro game, Death of the Outsider, because they published it separately and it followed the story of one of the side characters who actually does make a later appearance in Dishonored 2. I was very happy to see her back. It was really exciting. But so the premise of Dishonored is you play, so this is an action stealth game for starters. First person action stealth. You play as this guy named Corvo Attano. He lives in the country of Dunwall, or the city of Dunwall, country of blank.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I played.
It's basically England, people.
Yeah.
They don't call it England, but it's England. So you are Corvo Attano, and the world around you is kind of like this fascinating blend of steampunk, Victorian-style modernity. So they've got a bunch of high technology and a lot of really interesting electrical components, but it's also clearly a very backward society in terms of they don't really have modern amenities in a lot of cases, and I would date it as being like, think early 1900s.
Okay.
As being their approximate level of where they're at in the space of time.
Sounds about right.
But with a bunch of crazy extra like technology made by mad scientists.
Because isn't there like a lot of like electricity thing, like Tesla-esque machines?
Yes, it's a lot of like that kind of weird Tesla, like magic technology. You're like, who thought of this? Probably some crazy mad scientist. So as Corvo, you initially play as the bodyguard of Empress Jessamine. And spoiler alert, this happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game. She gets murdered.
She did.
She did. I say you she did. So she gets murdered, and that flings you into being cast as the scapegoat. So everybody says that you're the one that did it, that you killed Empress Jessamine, so you are now on the run. You have to basically go underground, escape from all of your life in the court as being part of the queen's government, essentially, because you are more or less the spy master. And you basically have to go underground and try to restore your name, restore your reputation. You do that by donning your super spooky Dishonored mask
But
thingy.
badass.
Yeah, but badass. Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
awesome. He gets like this cool kind of skull mask with like
Gizmos and
Yeah,
gadgets.
it's got all kinds of stuff in it. It's very cool. And of course, he has weapons galore. The true glory of Dishonored isn't the story, it's not the writing, it's not the dialogue, although those are all very good components of the game. The real fun of the game is the actual gameplay. The stealth components are the best I've ever played with. Being able to be stealthy in Dishonored feels so satisfying, and it's challenging. It's not like you can just instantly go into stealth mode and everything is fine. You might go into stealth mode, move just a little tiny bit too loud around a corner, and then one of the guards is like, "Oh, what was that?
Who said that?
Did you guys hear that?" And then like he alerts all the other guys, and they're like, "We know you're here," and you're like, "No,
I'm really not.
I'm really not. Go away, please." As you're sitting under a coffee table right in front of their feet, and you're like, "Oh, it's not looking so good for me." That has happened to me more times than I can count, because I was like, I bet they won't see me if I go over there. And then the guy got spooked, and I was like, oh, fuck.
I've been spotted.
I've been spotted. I done spooked them. So frequently, because so part of the reason I should skip to the end is part of the reason I never finished the game is I did it to myself. I Persona 5'd myself.
Oh no.
So I did the thing where I decided I was going to play the game on pacifist run, where I wasn't gonna kill
Oh my God.
anybody, which is kind of the point of Dishonored. I was like, no.
I mean, it gives you the option to not kill anybody.
It does. So really the options in terms of whether or not you actually kill people versus do you is full ability to choose. There's at no point any particular boss or person that you have to kill.
Right.
You can always choose an option to subdue them, which usually involves either sleep darts or choking them out. So I went through the entire game only choking people out or sleep darting them and then throwing their bodies into like a dumpster and closing it so the rats wouldn't eat them alive.
Right.
First of all, good guy Corvo, am I right?
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's a very just outlook
It's
you
a very just outlook that I have, which meant...
even though the world slapped you in the face and turns back on you.
Yeah, it sure did. And that really kind of is what did me in the end. So I got, I think, 5/6 of the way finished with the game. I was very close to the end, and I got to this particular part where I think it's where you're going through the old part of Dunwall that is flooded. The flooded district. Duh. It's not creative naming people. So anyways, I was going through the flooded district, and there were just all kinds of human enemies, which are the hardest ones to fight, and they were all members of like a rival... What's his name? He's like a bad guy, but not really. He's featured in Death of the Outsider. Oh my God, what is his name?
The guy who gives you the abilities?
No, that's the Outsider, but there's a guy that like...
I don't know. I guess I didn't get that far.
Yeah, I don't remember what is... Oh, he's the guy who framed you. Oh my God, what is his name?
Comstock?
No,
No.
that's Bioshock Infinite, you dummy.
Oh. Okay, because they're so different.
Because they're so different. So anyways, I'm absolutely blanking on his name, but there's a guy who framed you for the murder of Empress Jessamine because he got paid by the current prime minister who wanted you and the Empress out of the way so that he could rule.
Got it.
The point being, I got to this part where I was fighting that guy's forces and all of his minions, and I kept accidentally killing dudes. It kept happening where I would like shoot a guy with a sleep dart.
I died.
No, I would like sleep dart them. They would fall off a roof into the water, and then they would drown. And I couldn't like
Because the water wouldn't shock them back awake.
I couldn't rescue them. They didn't wake up, and I was like, well, fuck. So
Yes, I gotta start
I just
over.
kept accidentally killing guys, and it would get to the end of the mission, and I would think I had succeeded, and then it would be like, oh yeah, you killed 2 guys, and I was like, When?
Excuse me, but
When?
what?
Bitch, where are the dead guys? Where? So I was getting so frustrated. I think I replayed that level at least 7 times.
Oh, Jesus.
Trying to get, and it was a long ass level.
Yeah.
Trying to get it to where I didn't kill anybody, and I kept failing, and eventually I was like, okay, I'm just going to put it down. I'm just going to take a little break, because this was like over the span of a weekend, I think, and I was like, fine, forget it. I'll just put it down. I'll come back to it later.
And you never came back to it.
Because I was also far enough in the story that I knew where it was going. Like, I basically knew how it was going to end. I would eventually get to the end. I would clear my name and thereby reinstate unto the throne my, spoiler alert, daughter, Emily Caldwin.
Right.
So I knew that all of that was going to happen. So I was like, well, I kind of already know what's up.
You're just missing at that point the last little bit of level of gameplay.
I was just missing the time. So unfortunately, I am missing that trophy of like completing the game. Mm-hmm. So maybe someday I will go back to it. It is a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I think IGN gave it like a 9.5 out of 10.
I honestly don't remember why I quit, but I think why I quit playing. It wasn't because I didn't like the game. I think I just got distracted by something else. I think it was, that might have been when I was trying to play through Saints Row the Third, maybe? And I got distracted by that one. And
really,
then I never
you got distracted by Saints Row.
That game was crazy and fun. I enjoyed the crap out of that game. It was a lot of fun. But I honestly don't remember why. But yeah, it definitely wasn't because I didn't like the game. I think I just got distracted by other things and then forgot to go back to it. And then the PS4 came out and all the great things with the PS4. And I have been tempted many times, though, to buy Dishonored Remastered.
Actually, so I have the remastered version.
Oh, so
if
you've
you
been
want to
playing.
borrow mine, because remember I waited, so I
Right.
didn't get it when it released. I waited for that remastered version, and then I was like, oh wait, I have the definitive edition,
Nice.
which is the game and all the DLC.
All right, well, my second Ghost of Games Past is actually another Bethesda title.
Bethesda, what's up with you?
What you doing?
What you doing?
But it is Fallout 3.
Oh.
So I started Fallout 3, and I can't remember. I think it was just because I wanted Fallout 4 wasn't out at the time. Fallout, it was and I remember posting like to Facebook or asking people like, "Hey, out of Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3, which one should I get?" And people were like, "If you want to understand the story, do Fallout 3. If you want to just have like a slightly better thing, or I can't remember all the reasoning, but it was like try New Vegas for this reason." And I was like, "Well, I'm just going to go with
a fan favorite, isn't it?"
Yeah, it really is. So I probably in hindsight should have gone with New Vegas, but my goal was like, I'll play Fallout 3, then move on to New Vegas. Well, that as it being a choice in this topic, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So basically, for those of you who don't know about Fallout 3, which developed by Bethesda Game Studios, published by Bethesda Softworks, and directed by the great Todd Howard, who we all know.
Wait,
and love.
isn't Todd Howard that guy who keeps coming to E3 and lying about new games?
No.
No? Okay,
He's
never
like
mind.
the cool dude. Like he was at E3 this last year, and
that
everyone
he keeps
just
like promising way more than he can actually deliver on. Isn't that the running joke?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that actually.
I think that's...
All I know is that everyone, including myself, holds Todd Howard with incredible esteem and
Oh yeah,
and
he's
revere.
much beloved, but I think there's a running joke that he like just keeps promising
he keeps talking about
way
Skyrim
more.
ways
Yeah.
to play Skyrim and all that. But anyway, so you're playing Fallout 3, and the whole premise of this one is, it's typical with Fallout games. You grow up in this vault, you have this vault, and you have to go set off into the wasteland for some adventure. In this case, it's you grow up in Vault 101. Your father is like this doctor/scientist who voiced by Liam Neeson, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And which was honestly somewhat of my prerogative to want to play the game because I love Liam Neeson. And then... Anyway, so I get into it, and Liam Neeson, his character, just known as your father, he just leaves one day. He just breaks out of the vault and leaves, which is apparently not a good thing to do because he's on some quest to find something that will alleviate the woes of the world. And you're able to escape Vault 101, and you set out on your own into the Capital Wasteland because this is the area surrounding Washington, D.C. and different stuff like that. So again, on paper... seems right up my alley. Like I love a good RPG, I love a good action RPG, and I love a good exploration game. As case in point, that's what I continually keep playing with Red Dead,
Except
Assassin's
for
Creed.
Breath of the Wild.
I come back to Breath of the Wild. We've been over this. I come back to Breath of the Wild. I just don't stay very long. But honestly, I played around it. I played for several hours, got to several new areas, talked to people, did quests. I don't know. It just didn't hook me.
It just never clicked.
It just never the story of it just never clicked. But I honestly think what the big thing, because I even post-apocalyptic games, a lot of those tend to have the thing where everything is very scarce. You're not just going to come across this bounty unless it's a very fortified place that's been collected by other people. You're not just going to come across this random box with 50 bullets in it. Everything has to be very scarce, limited, and hard for you to use. And maybe that just felt too much?
Yeah, too overbearing.
Yeah.
Like it was too much of a burden to actually have to play the game.
I feel like that might have been my experience. Because also, too, you come across enemies and you want to fight them, but I also felt the combat controls were very clunky and very awkward and not very natural feeling to use. Kind of what I'm feeling with Red Dead right now, honestly. But then the one big thing of the Fallout series is the VATS system, which basically is it's bullet time, where you activate VATS. It highlights the enemy in front of you and has percentages, like hit percentages on certain areas of their body. Obviously, you can hit their head, and that's probably going to kill them one shot, but you only have like a 20% chance of hitting it, whereas you could hit their arm for a good old 75% chance. You might blow their arm off or the leg, cripple them, and different stuff like that. And that adds some tactics to the combat and everything, but at the end of the day, that's not how I wanted to play the game, if that makes sense. I wanted to play it more in the run around and just be able to like have a firefight without having to stop every few seconds to use VATS to take tactical advantage of the game. I don't know. It just didn't. That system, which I know what a lot of people love Fallout for, is for the VATS system.
Is that true for all Fallout games?
At least from 3 on.
Oh, okay.
2 might not have had it because 1 and 2 were the more I believe isometric is the like that really high top down like Diablo 2 style of game.
Okay.
Just because of when they were made. And so I'm not sure if it was in that one, but this one, because it was in first person and you had that option. You could do the VATS. I know it's in Fallout 4.
Okay.
But now they are saying, and I need to double check myself on this, but I'm pretty sure it's not though in Fallout 76 because Fallout 76 is
Vegas?
Yeah, it's in New Vegas also.
Okay.
But it's not in Fallout 76 due to Fallout 76 being a online, a consistently online.
Can you
so
imagine
you can't
what if somebody else kept triggering their VAT and then it had slowed you down? You were like, no.
Exactly. Like, how would that work?
That would be
so
really
honestly,
funny.
even though Fallout 3, and really because of the same reasons why I haven't played New Vegas or Fallout 4, I'm more interested in Fallout 76 because it will hold all the cool things of Fallout that I like. The post-apocalyptic setting, the cool like power armor suits that you see everywhere, all the crazy weapons, all the big nukes that you can possibly just unleash everywhere. All that aspect of it sounds great, but it honestly, without being tied to in my opinion, lackluster story, and then the clunky combat of VATS, of having to rely on VATS, I think I could really get into Fallout 76. I'm not going to buy it release day. I'll probably wait to see if it goes on sale, see the general reaction. I have enough on my plate. I need to wait for a long time before I buy anything else. I'm honestly probably going to wait until Smash comes out, and then that'll be the next thing I get. But anyway, so that was honestly it. I had other things that were coming up, because also at this time, I was playing it on my 360, but I also at the same time when I was playing it, I had things on my Xbox One and PS4 to play, more newer recent things, and I wanted to spend more time to those. And just because of that, it fell to the wayside. But honestly, for me, it was because of the VATS system and then just the story.
Yeah. So you never figured out what happened to your dad?
No.
You don't care?
I might go back and read it at some point.
Fare thee well, Papa.
Goodbye, Liam Neeson.
Goodbye, Father. Liam Neeson.
I hope you weren't taken.
Oh, well, he was.
His daughter was.
Yeah, we know.
The first one.
We get the joke. Okay. It's a very bad joke.
I thought it was good.
Not even a little good.
No.
Anyways.
That one's not going to fly with all the pun stuff?
No, it is not. Anyways, moving right along. I want to know if you can guess my last game.
Guess your last game. Okay, so I got to go back on 3 years of Team Chat.
3 years of Team Chat. I will give you a hint. It's a game that came out in that time. I'll even give you...
Oh, it came out in the... Okay.
It came out in the 3 years. I'll even give you... It came out within the past 2 years.
Okay. That really cuts off a lot of time. Thank you.
While he thinks about that, I'm going to sing the good people a song.
I don't know. I can't think.
Some sort of... Okay, fine. What? You just didn't want to hear my song?
Okay, what's your song?
No, it's too late.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're not going to hear it now.
I was just going blank.
You cut me off.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, the game that I played a fair amount of, never finished, probably never will finish, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Oh. Okay, now this is very shocking to me.
Yeah. So as everybody knows, or as everybody should know if you're a fan of the show, I loved the original, I'm putting that in mega air quotes here, the original Tomb Raider reboot.
Right,
which
the
was Tomb Raider
2013.
2013?
2013, 2014, somewhere in there.
I know that I bought the definitive edition in 2014, so it had to be...
Oh, yeah, because that came out. Yeah, because they had the PS3, Xbox 360 version that came out, but then once the...
That's right. So we had to wait a little while to actually get our hands on it, us poor Sony fans.
No. They just released the definitive edition after PS4 and Xbox One X came out. Rise of the Tomb Raider is the one that they held the exclusivity. That's the one where they wait.
Yes, you're right. Okay, so the original again, Tomb Raider reboot was fantastic.
Oh, so
one
good.
of the best action games I've ever played. I love it. I still love it to this day.
I actually have been thinking about replaying it.
Yeah, right. And what's interesting is I'm more excited about the idea of replaying that game than I am about ever going back to Rise of the Tomb Raider for a couple of different reasons. So Rise of the Tomb Raider, in sum total, felt like a game that was trying way too hard to do way too much and not doing any of them especially well.
Interesting.
It also has added into it a layer of hatred that you'll be familiar with. So I played Tomb Raider.
Okay.
And then over some sort of, I think it was maybe over a holiday break or something, I was at home and my mom was like, oh yeah, I got a new PS4. It came with all of these Uncharted games. So I played the Uncharted game. I played all of Uncharted 1 in like 3 days. And then I played...
short game.
It's a very short game. And I was like, wow, that was the worst time of my life. I'm literally never going to get those years back. Ever. That time. I'm never going to get that time back, and I've wasted on a game that I hate. And then, just for funsies, I played a tiny little bit of Uncharted 2. Maybe this one will be better. No, it was worse. And I was like, no, I'm cutting it off here. I'm not doing this. So then flash forward to when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out, bought it like really close to release time, started playing it, and I did finally realize what a lot of the internet had been saying for a long time, which is that the modern Tomb Raider games are actually very similar to the Uncharted games. And I see it now.
I can see that.
I still think that Lara Croft is a far superior character to Nathan Drake in every way. I think that Lara as a character...
Especially in the reboot.
But also especially the originals. Mm-hmm. Also especially just all of the Lara Crofts. Yes. She has a butler, okay? She's rich. She's wonderful.
Croft Manor.
She's a wonderful lady. Anyways, so the Rise of the Tomb Raider game, I finally saw how the combat was very similar to what I experienced with Uncharted, which was just the waves o enemies model. Mm-hmm. It was done with a little bit more finesse in both Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider, but even so, the enemy engagements were just very boring. The parts of Tomb Raider that were very fun were the animal fights, like having to actually battle against the environment or against things that weren't necessarily other humans, but when it came to actually fighting people, it'd be like, okay, you get to an area, the lights are on, here's a bunch of people, you gotta kill them. Okay, cool, you cleared that area, go to the next area. What's in there? A bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And you have to kill them. Okay, good, you kill them. Now let's go to the next area. Oh, hold up, there's more dudes. Okay, you gotta kill those dudes. Okay, you killed the dudes, good job. Let's go to the next room. More dudes!
Yeah.
And then you have to kill the dudes. And it just got very repetitive, very fast, and I was not entertained.
Oh, no.
As the gladiator might say. And it wasn't enough that the rest of the game held interest for me, because it didn't. So in Tomb Raider, of course, it took place on the Golden Triangle, I think is what they call it, which is a set of Japanese islands lost to time because they're encased in this perpetual storm. It's implied that it's a supernatural storm, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating. I like this a lot.
I like the subject matter.
I like the subject matter. I like the islands. I think this is cool. I like the story. I like the other characters. Rise of the Tomb Raider didn't care about any characters, period. The villain was boring. He had a sister, I think.
Don't even remember his name.
I don't remember his name. I don't remember her name. I don't remember any of my allies' names because they are so forgettable. I will probably never know. Maybe one guy was named Marcus. Maybe.
Don't you have that like your like friendly guy Jonah?
Is that his name, Jonah?
Kind of the bigger guy?
Yeah.
Jonah.
I was thinking he was Marcus. Okay, turns out his name is Jonah, everybody. But I didn't care.
Like Jonah.
I didn't give a crap about Jonah. He could have fallen off that sheer ice cliff we were climbing in the beginning, and I would have been like, bye, Jonah, see you never. And I would have soldiered on. But the game just wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. It also introduced a lot of these weird elements of you run into an ancient Byzantine culture that is still surviving in the mountains.
Wait, where does this game take place?
In Eastern Europe / Western Russia.
Okay.
So think like
I was thinking for some reason it was like Himalayas.
No. I mean, it does take place in mountainous areas, but I actually think that it's more of a post-Soviet occupied
Oh, wait, because
location.
isn't one of the, like, it was in DLC or something like that. Isn't it like Curse of Baba Yaga or something like that?
Yes, so it's more like
okay,
Eastern Europe.
That is
so
Eastern
I don't
Europe.
know. I don't think there's an exact location because these Byzantine people basically have their own hidden culture in the mountains that people have never been able to penetrate. And then here comes Laura, and she's like, "Hey there, friends, I'm Laura Croft," and they're like, "Cool, we've got these drones flying around, and we don't know what they are. Can you help us?" And it's implied that the villain is somehow trying to get at something that the Byzantine people are hiding or have, and you have to help them. And it just felt very
How
awkward.
they just accept Laura open arms when they've been cut off from contact with the other civilization
they haven't
for forever.
been cut off exactly. They kind of know what's going on out there, but they clearly have their own existing culture going on that isn't caught up to the rest of modernity. And it was just not fun. You had to like help them guard their stronghold, and I was like, no. I don't want to help you people.
I need to be raiding some tombs.
I'm raiding tombs here. Give me your gold. Like, that's what I was there for.
Right.
And that's what the game didn't have. It didn't have enough tombs. It didn't have puzzles. It didn't really have any artifacts that I was especially interested in. The locations were boring. Didn't like the combat. The crafting system felt unnecessary. It was just too much that wasn't interesting, or that just wasn't interesting enough.
Right.
So, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'll probably never finish it.
There we have it.
Sorry, Laura.
That one's sitting in my backlog too, because same thing. I loved the rebooted Tomb Raider. It was so good. But then I just haven't. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks interesting, being the like Incan and Mayan setting of Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
See, I'm not burned enough that I wouldn't give Shadow of the Tomb Raider a try.
I mean, at this point, I'd honestly rather just skip
I just
Rise
think I
and
would
move
rent
on.
It.
Yeah,
like I would actually have to play it
Not
and
just
be
be a
like,
purchase.
is this worth it?
Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, so it's one that I will eventually get to, because I do want to continue it, because I want to try it out and everything. Did you happen to see the new Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander?
No.
I saw it a few months ago. It was decent.
That's what I heard. And I was like, cool. I'm never going to see that.
I liked it enough because it had like Alicia Vikander is really good. Dominic West is really great in it as well. So is Walton Goggins. I really love Walton Goggins.
I was also one of those people on Twitter that was like, hashtag not my Laura. There's one true Laura Croft. Her name is Angelina Jolie. I am not sorry.
I'm sticking to my guns.
I'm sticking to
Both
my dual
of them.
pistols. Pew pew.
That was honestly the biggest letdown of the whole movie.
Did they? Oh, you told me about this.
She just like buys them in a pawn shop from Nick Frost at the very end.
Nope. I mean, I'm sure
what
they
basically
were trying
equates
to do
to
it
an after credit scene, but it was just terrible.
No.
I love like spoiler how she gets them in the Tomb Raider reboot is like the most badass way she could have got them, and it was amazing. And they just totally like the movie is basically the first one. Is the rebooted movie. Like it takes place in the Golden Triangle. They're trying to find Himiko and all that stuff, but like it just. But then they bungled that, and I was so.
They bungled it.
Such a big bungle.
Such a bungle.
But I mean, not a terrible movie. So if you're still kind of looking for, it's actually
I'm not.
Okay.
If I want a terrible
Anyone
movie,
out there?
I will watch.
Patrons, if you're watching before on the early access, it's actually the 99-cent rental on iTunes right this week.
Or for free on Netflix, assuming you have it, you could also watch Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992.
Circle it back around to a
cinematic classic.
Before we started recording.
Oh wait, that's right. That wasn't in there.
I mean, now it's there, and
Now, it'll be
we'll include it in the like special little behind the scenes bits that the patrons get.
Which you get if you're a patron.
Ayo!
Hey, give us your money.
All right. So circling back around to round out the list here, my final game, if my games of Ghosts of Games Past, bungled that, is Lord of the Rings War in the North from 2011.
What now?
Lord of the Rings War in the North.
War in the North? I've never even heard of this game.
So when I heard of it, pre-2011, super stoked about it because the previous Lord of the Rings game that I played was Lord of the Rings Two Towers. Or not Two Towers, Return of the King, which was an outstanding Lord of the Rings game, held in high acclaim by anyone who has ever touched it.
Did you get to be Gimli?
Yes. You could be Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, Gandalf,
Did
Frodo.
Orlando Bloom voice Legolas?
I honestly don't remember, but I would imagine. I mean, they use cutscenes for the movies and stuff, so I would imagine they
hopefully
probably did, maybe.
Nice.
But anyway, great game. So, but think about it. It was rated T for teen. Everybody's like, okay, that's cool, but that's what we come to expect. Lord of the Rings War in the North comes out and starts getting pumped. It's rated M, which everyone's
M
like, oh,
for mature.
Mature? I am a mature person, and I can play this game then. But that also meant that the violence was going to be, it was going to be a bit more bloody, a bit more gritty. And I was like, yes, I'm all about this. But it was going to be an RPG. You had 3 characters that you could either be: Eredon, a ranger; Farron, a dwarf; or Andriel, an elf, which I was actually looking. The ranger was voiced by Nolan North. The dwarf, Farron, was Fred Tedeschiori, who does voice. He's Soldier 76.
Really? Oh,
And then,
that's cool.
And Andriel is Laura Bailey, who does, which I believe she's from Uncharted. I should have looked into that a little bit more.
Does she play Nathan Drake's very unlucky love interest, who unfortunately has to put up with him?
I think she does.
Oh, what a
I'm gonna double check though before I.
What is her name in the games? Alyssa? Elisa? Elise?
She's Nadine in Uncharted.
Oh.
She is not who you're talking about. She's actually in a lot. That's what I also knew her from. Kate Diaz in Gears of War 4. She's Mary Jane in the new Marvel Spider-Man game that just came out. She's a bunch of stuff. But anyway, so I was like, oh, I've totally forgot that these 3 big name actors were in this game. But basically, the story takes place alongside the events of the Lord of the Rings. You basically are contacted by Aragorn at the beginning and told to go hunt down this general of Sauron. If I'm going to say this right, Agandar. You have to go hunt him down because he is trying to amass another army way up in the north that is going to come and help Sauron in his conquest of Middle Earth. I'm treading on dangerous ground here. I got to get my facts right, or else Lord of the Rings fandom will come after me, and I don't need that.
Quick aside, when I was at the Texas Renaissance Festival this past weekend, right after Extra Life.
Right. Did you live? Yeah,
I lived, but we did find in one of the shops a life-size, meaning larger than life, Sauron, like in his big black armor. It was awesome. We were like, awesome. And unfortunately, there were signs everywhere that were like, "Do not touch."
Oh, it was one you could buy. It wasn't a dude in costume.
I don't think you could buy it. I think it was mostly just for display. But it was like Sauron. I was like,
amazing. I love that. That's
and
so
he even
cool.
had the ring on one of his hands.
But then you shouldn't be able to see him.
Giant fingers that are like this. No,
not
because
real.
remember in the movie, you can see Sauron when he wears it.
It's been so long since.
I
stepped in it.
He is the ring's master.
I've stepped in it now. And
the ring does as he tells it to.
I need to rewatch this movie. It's been
you
a
need
long
to
time.
brush up
I
on
do.
your LOTR.
I've actually been thinking
bro.
that it's time for a marathon through that. It's been a while. But anyway, so again, this game had so much promise. A epic Lord of the Rings tale is going to be rated M, which meant it was going to have RPG elements with hack and slash combat, which was meaning I was going to be decapitating fools, and it was going to be great. And all those things were great until about halfway through the game, and it got buggy galore.
Really? It was buggy?
So bad.
Oh.
There was one place you were going through.
Who developed this game?
Snowblind Interactive in Snowblind Studios, sorry, in association with Warner Brothers Interactive.
A very appropriate name for War in the North.
I mean, but
that's
it was
actually quite funny.
It was really cool. Like the combat was really awesome. You could do some really fun combos and stuff. And then your finishing moves with all these, either you dismember an orc or an enemy soldier or decapitate them. And it was great. Loved it. And the story seemed very interesting of where it was going. But the problem is you got to this one level. I can't remember where it took place, but basically the boss wouldn't trigger.
The boss just wouldn't appear?
Yeah. And you couldn't, and I remember going back and looking at, I'm hitting forums hard because I'm like, man, I want to finish this game so bad. And so I'm looking and trying to find all these different ways, and no one can have, basically everyone's kind of like, it's luck of the draw, restart, and maybe if you get to it, it might be fixed. Well, I got to that one after I'd already restarted a couple other times due to other smaller bugs. And so I'm sitting here on maybe my third playthrough, get to this point where I literally just can't go farther because the boss is not spawning where the boss is supposed to be. It's not like triggering the cutscene where that introduces the boss, and I couldn't go any farther.
What a
And I'm
bummer.
like, I'm not restarting this game for the fourth time.
It actually, so I've been looking up some pictures of it. It's a pretty good looking game.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all, and that's what I mean. It was kind of it was basically the predecessor to the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games. Whereas, those games are obviously rated M. They have incredible combat, a nice mix of open world and even a little bit of like Assassin's Creed-esque stuff thrown in.
Don't you mean Dishonored?
No, I mean Assassin's Creed. And just kind of like how you could assassinate people and different things like that. So obviously, great tie of the two things that I love together. And so therefore, that's what those games were awesome. But this one really, and you could choose your playthrough of these characters of Eredon, Farron, or Andriel. You could choose to be either one of those. And then even at the end of each chapter, you could switch out which one you were controlling for the next chapter. Or to replay.
Did you try switching out your character to see if that would trigger the boss?
I tried so many things.
You?
And I eventually was just like, I want to play this game. I want to love this game. I want to love it so hard. Even in writing up my notes and everything and going back and looking at this, in my head, I was like, do I try again?
No, Jerrett.
Maybe there are patches that have fixed it by now. But obviously, I know some people were obviously able to finish the game. But that was a big complaint of this game. I was not the only one who ran into some of these legitimately game-breaking bugs.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted to love it and I wanted to be chopping the heads off of orcs all day long, just couldn't do it.
It just didn't happen.
I just had to finally
That's a real bummer,
eventually had to throw in the towel and be like, you know what? I'll wait until the next great Lord of the Rings experience, which then surely, it was a few years, but gosh, Shadow of Mordor in that game was fantastic.
Well, what is it? Hashtag sad.
Hashtag very sad.
Hashtag very sad.
Hashtag very, 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 very sad because that game had a lot of promise. So that completes our list of Ghosts of Games Past. Obviously, we would love to know what some of the games that you've played and then had to abandon for one reason or another are. So if you have any of those games, let us know by sending us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com or responding in the comments to below, posting on our Facebook or sending us a tweet, telling us on the Discord. There are many different ways that you can let us know your thoughts and opinions, and we would love to hear them. So let us know your Ghosts of Games Past. But before we conclude this episode, we do have to do our soundtrack spotlight, which Mogan has prepared for this week. Hit me with that tune.
One of the many good things about Yoshi's Woolly World is, of course, the soundtrack. It's adorable, cheerful, and fantastic. So composers Tomoya Tomita, Misaki Asada, and Kazumi Totaka worked on this game, and this is going to be the track Shy But Deadly.
Shy But Deadly.
And this might actually be a level that featured Yarny Shy Guys.
I was about to say, that would make sense.
Yeah, I think it's and Shy Guy is like my favorite character from the Mario mythos. I adore Shy Guy.
Has become my go-to in Mario Kart.
Shy Guy is my go-to in Mario Party.
Oh, well, there we go.
Well, we're just all shy guys
crossover
around here. A lot of shy crossover.
Okay, so listen to that Shy But Deadly from Yoshi's Woolly World. That is our soundtrack spotlight for this week. We'll have a little preview of it to play now as the song ends, but then on Wednesday, check back when we post the link to the full song, or just go look it up by yourself. But I felt like we need something a little bit more cheerful, a little bit more happy after the more somber soundtrack spotlight from last week, Ashes from God of War.
They're two very different tracks.
Which I must have. Did you go back and listen to the whole thing?
No, I'm still working on it.
My God!
I know, I'm sorry.
It's so good.
I know, I believe you.
Actually, just today, I thought I had missed out. Fun little side story before we close this out. But I thought I had missed out because Mondo partnered up with Sony to release the God of War soundtrack on vinyl, which I had Mondo's version of The Last of Us on vinyl.
Right.
Fantastic soundtrack. It's great. It's excellent. That came out around my birthday, and I wound up not buying it for whatever reason. Because I'd asked for it for my birthday, and nobody bought it for me.
Oh, bummer.
And then I just had other things that I wanted to get with the money or whatever. I can't remember what I did. I can't remember the circumstances. Either here nor there, I wound up not getting it. And then I went back a couple months after that or something to go buy it because I was like, I've got some extra money. I want to spend it on some good music. They weren't selling it anymore. It was out of stock. I was like, no! More tears. More hashtag
More
sad.
tears. More hashtag sad.
And so I thought, well, missed my shot because Mondo only does like limited releases of things. I thought it was done. Fast forward to, and then rewind a little bit, to yesterday. I was sitting at my computer, got an email saying that they were doing a restocking of some of their old vinyl, which included God of War.
Oh,
Bought that
nice.
sucker, and then it came today because Mondo is a local Austin company as well. And so I got it in like a day. So I have it. I'm so excited.
I want to see it after we
I'll
close
show it
this
to you
out.
after we're done.
Nice.
But I was so excited. I was so happy because I was literally pretty bummed that I had missed out because of how damn good the soundtrack to God of War is. But you know what also has a damn good soundtrack? Yoshi's Whirly World. And that's why you should go listen to Shy But Deadly after the close of the episode, which is right now. But thanks for sticking around and listening to us talk about our Ghost of Games Past. Like I said, again, love to hear what some of your Ghost of Games Past are. But with that, that concludes this episode of Team Chat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Sayonara.
We'll see you all next time. Stick around for the song.